Did you know 4 of the biggest players in the last 15 years almost never became as big as they got? They almost died, while 2 were able to achieve some greatness before death almost snatched them. 2 almost never became famous, from Appy Nori to Neymar, who almost lost his life as a toddler. These are 10 football players who almost died. First in this video is Ronaldo, who could have died before winning his first Ballon d'Or award. Well, we'll go on with this in a moment, but in the meantime, kindly like and share this video. Also, please subscribe to the channel if you're new here.
Portugal national team, the federation, so happy, special day. I have to say thank you to all of them. They make my day. They make my night, let's say that.
Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo is unarguably the best player to come out of Europe and arguably the greatest player of all time. But he actually got close to not achieving much in football. And if you think this is because there was a time when he struggled with working hard, you're wrong. The captain of the Portuguese national team has always been a hard worker, and this almost cost him his life. While still in his first stint with Manchester United, Ronaldo almost lost his life in a car accident. Well, he was moving a little too fast, but that wasn't quite the intention. You see, Manchester United had just lost a match with his boss, Sir Alex Ferguson, was furious and decided training was going to start a little earlier. Well, CR7 was asleep, so he didn't get the message. Interestingly, he woke up to lots of missed calls. Time was already running, and he knew the only way he could get to training on time was with his Ferrari. He wasted no time. He got into the Ferrari and hit the road. Sadly, he couldn't make it to training as he was involved in an accident that almost took his life. He crashed his Ferrari but was fortunate to get out without being hurt. CR7 obviously had the safety features of his car to thank for his life. But this next player would have died if he was all alone. Unlike Ronaldo, who is world famous, if you don't follow the Premier League closely, you may not know who Fabrice Muamba is, but the former EPL star gained national recognition when he almost passed on in a match between Bolton Wanderers and Spurs. He suffered a cardiac arrest and was as good as dead. He was fortunate to have some players around him, and these guys knew just what to do. One would say Muamba was lucky, but I doubt if luck is good enough to explain what happened to Neymar. Dude was obviously destined for big things.
A presença dos filhos, né, de ter o carinho, de ter a amizade com seu filho. E por mais que ele more longe, né, eu tento aproveitar ao máximo dos dias das folgas que ele tem na escola.
Muamba made it into the limelight before almost losing his life. However, Neymar almost didn't have a football career. He perhaps wasn't even big enough to know what a football match felt like before he almost passed. Neymar was less than 5 when his entire family got involved in an accident. His father was driving while it was raining and visibility was poor. This led to his dad losing control of the car. Although everyone was safe in the end, there was a great deal of panic as Neymar went missing. He most likely fell out of the window. Well, when they finally found him, he was unharmed. This didn't stop the former PSG star from growing into the player that he is over time. His countryman Kaká also had an accident off the pitch and almost did not have a career. Kaká, the Brazilian, was already grown and playing football when he was very close to dying. However, he wasn't a famous football player yet. Just like Neymar's accident, which had nothing to do with football, if anything happened to Kaká, no one would have bombed football. The one-time Ballon d'Or winner dived into a shallow pool and hurt his back. He was treated well and was free to go about his daily activities. However, he almost didn't get the clearance to go on with football. As a matter of fact, not many people expected Kaká to be able to walk after this incident. Kaká was lucky. Sadly, we can't say the same thing about Appy Nori, who damaged his brain while on the pitch. We'll see this later in the video, but before we continue, please hit the subscribe button if you're new here.
No tengo nada especial, simplemente la cambio con el que se da en el momento. Es verdad que me tocó jugar contra equipos donde hubo argentinos y generalmente con los argentinos solemos cambiar, pero me pasaba también
To the average person, the worst that can happen to a player on the pitch is a cardiac arrest or some other related issue, but that's not exactly the worst that can happen to a player on the pitch. See, players can actually die from duels, and 8-time Ballon d'Or winner Lionel Messi almost lost his life in a duel on the pitch. Of course, there were no swords involved, but Messi seemed a little too eager for the ball, and this could have cost him his life. You probably feel Messi had no business fighting for the ball, but Barcelona were on the verge of being eliminated for the Champions League, and he had to do everything in his power to help his team move to the next round. The first leg did not favor Barcelona, and the second leg was a chance to make a difference. Due to how badly Messi wanted the ball, he leaped too high for a duel. He miscalculated and fell on his neck. The entire stadium was quiet for a moment as no one was sure if he was fine. Well, in the end, Messi wasn't hurt. However, the greatest player of all time could have died on the pitch. This is something he has in common with John Terry. The former Chelsea captain perhaps best remembers Messi as one of the Barcelona stars on the pitch when Chelsea got robbed at home in the semi-final of the 2008-2009 Champions League. But just like the world would have remembered Messi as a footballer who died on the pitch, the former Chelsea defender almost gave up the ghost on the pitch. As a matter of fact, he became unconscious and was almost choking on his tongue the day Terry almost died. The only thing he probably had on his mind was to defeat Arsenal and win the Carling Cup. Sadly, life had other plans. During this match, dude got kicked in the face by Arsenal's Diaby, and this almost cost him his life. However, somehow he survived and went on playing football without wearing protective gear. Terry never needed to wear protective gear because he didn't fracture his skull, but this was exactly what happened to Sech. Dude got his skull fractured in a match between Reading and Chelsea on October 14, 2006. Reading went head-to-head with Chelsea in the Premier League. This match was supposed to be like every other match, but it was different. Sech was going about his goalkeeper duties when a Reading player hit him in the head. Although this blow wasn't intentional, it fractured his skull and almost took his life. Sech had to stay away from football for a while and returned with his gear on. He went on to retire after a great career. Now, the next two players almost got killed in the street. One was simply unlucky, however, the other has his teammate to thank. Zlatan could have been killed in the street, and it wouldn't have been an accident. As strange as it sounds, a serial killer named Peter was actually looking to kill Zlatan. And if you think that's funny that a serial killer was interested in killing Zlatan, more interesting is the fact that fame was all that this serial killer wanted. Apparently, he felt like he was going to get famous by killing the most arrogant footballer ever. He had everything well planned. Luckily for the former PSG star, when he came onto the scene, Peter wasn't with his gun. He had forgotten it and simply went home to pick it up before Zlatan left the scene. So if Peter had his gun, Zlatan would have been dead. But Ozil wasn't so lucky. His attacker didn't forget his knife. The former Arsenal player was on the street in London and probably felt safe because he was an Arsenal player, but actually that wasn't a good enough reason to feel safer, as his attacker cared little about his status. Ozil was spending some time with his teammate when two robbers came to the scene. These guys have knives and perhaps would have inflicted major damage if Ozil hadn't been with Kolasinac, who showed a lot of bravery in the face of danger. Ozil was lucky to live to tell this story, but the last person in the video was able to go through a near-death experience and survive. Sadly, he is unable to tell the story. When Appy survived the heart condition after collapsing in a match, lots of folks were glad he didn't go the way of Vivian Foe, who died in a Confederations Cup match between Colombia and Cameroon. Appy survived just like Christian Eriksen and Fabrice Muamba. But unlike these players, he had brain damage and can't do much for himself. He is dependent on his family and will never live a normal life. Although one could assume whatever happened to Appy had fate written all over it, it actually wasn't all fate. If he had been given the best of treatments and quickly enough when he collapsed, he probably wouldn't have been able to continue with football, but he could have gone on to have a better life. Well, football still loves Appy and will never forget him. It might be difficult to do anything about accidents involving footballers outside the pitch, but do you think anything can be done to ensure only footballers with the right state of hearts take to the pitch? Kindly let us know what you think in the comment section. Please watch this video on the screen and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos like this.